you think that I've gone to the dark side because I don't do that, well, then I must be on the dark side. Again, that's your way of training. I still didn't go on there and make any negative comments, right? But I promise you this. I do think eventually you'll look back when you get with the right people.
This is the next side of things, right? The next side of things is let's now, because we're in a position of authority here, let's now look down and talk down on the younger trainer and say, one day, when you get around trainers like me, you'll get it.
And you'll understand more. You'll understand more, right? And I'm not going to go on and bash you because I think you're probably a good guy. And I don't think you have any malintent towards the animals. But yes, we train very, very different, like not even in the same spectrum. So I understand more now why you think I'm like siding with the purely positive people, which is silly.
We also didn't say that. We'll get to that in a second.
And how you being a Jeff Gelman fan has influenced you.
Okay, so let's just also zoom back for a minute here, right? And talk about my background a little bit with things, right? Because the whole he's really riding hard on this Jeff Gelman thing. You're a Jeff Gelman fan, which has caused you to be the trainer that you are right now, right? Is more or less what he's saying, right? How you being a Jeff Gelman fan has influenced you to not take anything out of quotations, I believe is what he said, right? I actually started opposite of what most people started at in this industry, and this is why I think that I have a pretty good upper hand on stuff, right?
Yeah.
I started pretty much where Larry is at with things, where we were a heavily reward-based program, right? I learned from some of the best as far as how to implement rewards and punishments in a fair way to keep your dog super motivated and create a phenomenal product, right? And I made a great name for myself for a little while because I posted a lot of phenomenal videos of dogs looking super motivated, right? The problem is, especially in the quantity of dogs that we work with, we have a facility. Larry does not. We work with a lot more dogs than Larry does. And I don't say that as far as like we're better than him because we're working with more dogs. I just say we see a lot more scenarios, right? And we work with more of your average owner as opposed to, because of the name Larry's made for himself at this point, he's working with like the primo clients, which is great. That's awesome. You know what I mean? You could hand select your clients all day long. You could pick the best of the best as far as your clients are concerned to make sure that you could train dogs the way that you want to train dogs, which I really do think is awesome. You know what I mean? I am interested in helping as many people as possible. Right? I'm interested in helping as many dogs as possible by keeping dogs out of shelters, by helping solve people's problems that they're having in the house, which means I got to work with everybody. Right? Yes, there are people that I'll turn down in extreme situations, right? But for the most part, if somebody wants help, I think I could find a way to motivate them to help themselves as well as their dog, right? That's a difference in the way we look at things, and I don't think one is right or wrong at all.
Yeah.
Right? Where was I going with this? Okay, so started in the competitive world, learned from the best of the best. I surrounded myself with the people he's talking about. Some of the names he talks about when he talks about like best of the best people are people I learned from. You know what I mean? Talk about maybe not directly, but through videos, through content, through studying their work, stuff like that. Ivan Balabanov, Michael Ellis, right? I don't know if he still is. I haven't heard him bring the name up in a while. Tyler Muto, right? Like all of those guys, like those were the guys I surrounded myself with and learned as much as I could, right? And for the longest time, I actually talked down about people like Jeff Gelman and Sean and stuff like that. And we've had numerous podcasts we've discussed where I've had issues with things they've done. I thought that the new generation of trainers that they kind of unintentionally brought up through their T3 series, they were bringing up in the wrong way. Those trainers didn't have the proper education on learning theory. They didn't have the proper education on how beneficial rewards were. They were coming into things because it was an easy way to make money. There's a ton of issues I had with that kind of stuff, right? As I started training dogs more and I started working with all types of owners, I started understanding why they were doing things the way they do them, right? Again, this does not change my opinions on the things we just discussed and some of the issues that I've had with them, but I understand the human-centric mind, and I understand the let's make things easier for the owner to make them more successful with the dog. And I've strived really, 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 really hard over the course of my almost 10 years doing this now at this point to find a balance between that. And you could find videos on my YouTube channel, my Facebook, my Instagram, this, that, of dogs looking, quote unquote, probably pretty shut down, and like the dogs in Jeff Gellman's videos and stuff like that, right? But you also can find an equal amount of dogs looking unbelievably motivated, happy to work, and eager to be the best self that they can. You know what I mean? And the difference is I look at the situation and I try to gauge which one can I do for the situation. And listen, I don't do the best job of it. I understand, but I try to highlight to my staff and my trainers as best as possible to always look at how can we make things as easy as possible on the owners while maintaining the integrity of the dog, right? That's the way that I train. I like that philosophy behind things, right? Again, in Larry's case, he's slowly starting to vilify that mentality too much, which is where my problem comes from.